Hi, it's 3 o'clock. It's Friday. Welcome to Together Unlocked. I'm Jew Gosling, also known as the artist Jew90. I'm artistic director of Together 2012, who are bringing you this show today. As it's Friday, we are dressed up to go out to stay in. So, resisting the temptation to introduce ourselves further and give you some audio description, I am going to go right to the other end of our long virtual wheeled sofa for some introductions and audio description from the West Midlands. And yeah, tell us, who are you? What are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do today?
Okay, so I am Robin Surgeoner. I am, believe it or not, dressed like this, the business director at Together 2012, up here in Sutton Coldfield in our slowly warming but very, very cold outside West Midlands office with our lovely warming curtains behind us. So today you can see a little bit of my lengthening grey, white, silvery hair, no rimmed glasses with black arms, nicely shaven, and I'm wearing. So I'll start. I am wearing a uh, jungle green grandad collared long sleeved shirt, green combatty type trousers, cargo pants, whatever you want to call them. And on my head, I am wearing some night vision goggles. Sorry, I was away from the mic then. Some night vision goggles because I am going to the Amazon to do specifically to do some crocodile spotting because they're much better at night, but any other wildlife that comes out in the hours of darkness.
Has it ever occurred to you, as a manual wheelchair user, that getting too close to a crocodile might not be the safest activity in the world?
Well, I mean, I got my inspiration because Josh did his Jolt trip, which I can't remember if we've talked about, a journey of a lifetime, and there was 30 of them with a mixture of 16-year-olds or thereabout with mixed impairments and other support needs, and they went crocodile hunting in the middle of the night and saw black panthers and all hosts of things. So, hey,
There's jokes I could tell about that, but I think it's best to move swiftly on with the person sitting next to you.
Hello, and I'm Tracy Surgeoner. I am with him actually, um, and I have got blonde hair in a ponytail because my hair has just gone a bit wild, a bit long. Um, I'm not wearing any glasses. I did put a little bit of makeup on today so you could see me because I'm looking very pale. I'm wearing a blue Chanel, deep blue Chanel jumper, which is very warm, with a pale blue, um, very thin scarf, which I believe is my breast cancer scarf, in support of breast cancer. And I'm wearing some blue leggings. And I don't actually know yet what I'm going to do for the weekend. I
Oops.
think I'm going to have a selection of things and just pick one out of a jar, which could include staying home and doing some baking, trying to finish an art project that I started before Christmas, or even possibly just popping out for a meal with some friends.
That all sounds very nice. Sorry, we jumped because, of course, as regular viewers know, we have random cats making an appearance, and something just fell down slightly later than when the cat knocked it and landed on a tin drum. So I'm Jew Gosling, also known as the artist Jew90. And before I get on to me, behind us, you can see a little bit of our Together 2012 graffiti banner, which we all painted together in 2014 with the assistance of a great organisation called Graffiti Life. And that has symbols all over it of all the different art forms we cover, both in terms of participatory activities and performances. So that includes street art, carnival art, live music, visual arts, cinema, photography, and much, much more than I can remember at the moment. In front of that, well, behind, underneath that is actually piles of our musical instruments, and thus the thing landing on the drum out of shot. But that's covered with a cloth, and I've put up a sort of spring Valentine's LGBT History Month thing in a vase behind us. So it's some cuttings of, I think, forsythia, which should come out as yellow. We've got some of the buds on there, and it's hung with some pink heart decorations and some rainbow decorations, and it's got some rainbow flags in the bottom. So I am dressed up to go out to stay in to celebrate Korean New Year with a meal in the city of Gwangju for Valentine's Day with Julie. So, what do I look like? I've got a self styled hennaed corona crop. We're now broadcasting in full HD. I'm not sure that's a good thing as far as any of our hair goes. I've got pale olive skin, green eyes behind black plastic glasses. I have, courtesy of the charity shop as always, a black Chinese silk jacket, since it's also a Chinese New Year. That's got a very nice, I don't know if anybody can see it, green silk lining. I've got a red velvet evening scarf with, well, again, we can't really see that against the black, but little bits of fringing. And my t-shirt is a white t-shirt and it says Gwangju on it. It was a present from, well, in fact, I think it was a present from the city of Gwangju when I was their guest in 2018 for the World Human Rights Cities Forum. I absolutely loved Gwangju. I loved the food. So yes, we're doing something a bit different to celebrate Lunar New Year. We're going to go to the city of Gwangju in Korea and have a lovely meal. Or perhaps we won't, but we're dressed up to do it even if we stay in. So, last but by no means least, who are you? What do you look like? And what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do today?
Well, given that you're taking me out for a meal, I'm going with you. I'm not doing anything independently. I fancy that food. I didn't go to Gwangju, so it'll be a trip of a lifetime for me. Today, I'm wearing a black beret a la Frank Spencer, for those who remember. Oh, Betty! Sort of like, but it's actually more artistic than that. It's very tasteful. I've got a lovely silk shawl with embroidery on it, which I keep. I'm not very good with my left and my right on this monitor, but it's got beautiful embroidery. I think you can see it's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's Chinese. It's not actually mine. I borrowed it from somebody else in the house.
And I can't remember which shop it came from. So there you go. But yeah, coming up this weekend is Valentine's Day. So a bit later, Tracy is also going to tell us a bit about how to make some extra special Valentine's Day cards using just what you already have at home. Pritesh Patel has sent us in a Valentine's painting. So I'm just going to pop that up on the screen for a minute. And what Pritesh has done is he's folded a piece of white paper in two, and then he's been able to draw a heart very, very easily. And he's painted that with deep red down the middle and then going out on each side, orange and ochre, and finishing up with lemon yellow. It's not at all the sort of colours you usually expect to see on a heart, and I think it actually looks rather great. So thank you for that, Pritesh. And I hope you enjoy Valentine's weekend, or indeed the Lunar New Year, which is, of course, today. So today is officially Korean New Year, Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year, and then we have Valentine's Day on Sunday. Now, I know for a fact, Julie, that when you were doing your training for trainers in terms of disability arts, you did a whole project around Valentine's Day. So I'm hoping you can remember a couple of interesting facts.
Oh, I wish I'd had a little bit of warning.
It's funny because I sent you a note earlier.
I was busy practicing the signing. Right, I did actually do. It was part of my my, what do you call it?
I think it was disability equality training, specialising in the arts, and you were qualifying or doing some extra qualifying as a trainer.
It was my part one from my City and Guilds.
7307.
Yes. So before you
Yeah.
both go completely off the
Yeah,
point, tell us
absolutely.
about Valentine's Day.
Well, it's also the start of the Year of the Ox, which I think is actually worth mentioning, because the Year of the Ox is a stable year. after the year of the rat last year, where all goodness knows sort of went out, then we've moved on to a more stable year. This year for St. Valentine's Day, St. Valentine was imprisoned. He was Roman, and he was befriended by the jail keeper's daughter. And there were messages passed between them, hence the messages from Valentine's Day. In order to do it, I got a load of bits of fluffy business and glitters and sparkly pens and lots of cartridge paper. So I imagine, Tracy, you're going to pick that up for us, aren't you, with your things to do for the weekend?
Yeah,
I
can
think
do.
I'll pop the Wikipedia link into who St. Valentine's was.
Thank you, Jude.
Some clearly the notes and everything else it didn't get around. But yeah, I could remember he was a slave, wasn't he?
No, I don't think he was, but he was certainly imprisoned. But I don't think he was. I think he was imprisoned.
This is where we need Josh behind the scenes, rapidly looking it up in the iPad,
Yeah.
but he probably knows the answers
He- he
anyway.
wa-
So we'll look forward to hearing from Josh Surgener when he swaps with Tracy sometime after 3:30. But in the meantime, let's move on to this morning's art club, which you were overseeing. So we do a still life session every Friday morning from 11 to 12. It's grown out of the drawing and painting session, which we would usually run in a physical venue for 2 hours on a Friday morning. And what we do is we provide on those occasions all the paints, canvases, different things to draw and paint with. And people very much just experiment and find their own voice. But what we're finding with our clubs program, as we call it on Zoom, is it needs to be a bit more structured and not so long. So we've made our drawing and painting session a still life session. And I did the still life this morning. So I'm just going to show you what it was based on, which is a still life by Vincent van Gogh. And Van Gogh did an awful lot of still lives of things like shoes, very much household objects. You don't need to have flowers or fruit to be doing a still life. So this is very simply a pair of his boots. One is upright with I think you call it the tongue of the shoe popping out and the laces coming down into the foreground. The other one, you can see the sole and you can see quite a lot of nails in it. And you've got a two-coloured background. The shoes are probably on what's supposed to be the floor, which is blue, and then there's a sort of bluey green wall behind. So I'm going to take that off and then put up our version. So this is a pair of basketball boots that in fact Josh admired some time ago. I couldn't get the tongue to pop out, so it's got a sock kind of trailing out to the top of it. It's got rainbow laces which come down to the foreground. So effectively they're silver basketball boots on a purple surface with green behind, and then you can see the different pattern of the sole. So what we do is we put that up on our highlights and links page for anybody to do at home, and if you do, we would love to see your still lives. You can find our highlights and links page under the main Together Unlocked TV menu. There's extra pages for past months, but the main highlights and links page, she says, looking across to the West Midlands, has everything from today's show and anything else that's been published this month. So all of the pictures, videos and links we mention, including our recommendations for something for the weekend, which is coming up after 3:30, will be on the highlights and links page. So I've got a couple of still lives that people have sent in from this morning. So this is Crystal Peasy, and she's painted hers. That's really interesting, Crystal, and I love the different colours. There's lots of greys, reds, blues and greens. And then Glory Sengo I think has really, really focused in on the shoelaces and done a grand job. So I'll be pleased to see what it looks like when you've finished that as well later, Glory, because I know for quite a few of you, you've then got to go and finish them afterwards because we've only got an hour. But thank you for that. And thank you, Julie, for running the session this morning. How did you find it?
Difficult. It was it was not running the session. It was lovely to see everybody, and it's always interesting how different people have a different perspective. I know perspective is used in art in a particular way, but it's interesting how different people see different things. Like Glory saw the rainbows, whereas Crystal saw the colours. When I thought I'll have a go because it is hard, and I thought I'll have a go as well because I wouldn't ask anybody to do something that I wouldn't do. So I sketched it with just a pencil. I decided that was the easiest option for me. So I just sketched it very loosely, and then as I got the shapes on the piece of paper, I started to firm it off. You can always, I think for me, that's the easiest way of doing something as complex as that because you can always add color later on.
Yes, I mean, I think because I may do the still life next week as well. I mean, my thing is I can't draw straight lines. So, what I've been trying to do is avoid still lives with lots of straight lines in them. Because once something's curved, you can't really tell whether it's more or less curved than the real thing. But let's move on. And Tracy is going to talk to us again, not just about Valentine's Day, but cards that you can and framed is. Let me put the first picture up, which is not a Valentine's one, and get Tracy to just tell us a bit about it.
Right. Well, what I've done is I've used they're called box frames, so that you've got a space behind the glass of a couple of centimeters, so that you can put things in there, dried flowers or whatever you fancy. But this one actually, I made a birthday card, so I made it as a card for my niece when she turned 18, and I basically just it's got a silver. I've got a piece of cardboard, like silver cardboard, as the base, and then I just picked out bits and pieces of things that I liked. So I've spelt her name out in pink diamantes, and the happy birthday is a piece of wood. It's a wooden happy birthday, so there's lots of texture and movement in it. Um, some little flags at the top. I mean, just things that I liked and the colours that I knew she would like. And I think it just makes it a little bit more unique, especially for a celebration birthday.
It does. I mean, as soon as I saw that and you started talking, I just wondered, have you ever tried making the box frame? Because I don't know about you, but I've still got some really nice bits of, particularly the bottom bit of the box from chocolate boxes and things from Christmas. So I'm just thinking if people are thinking, well, I haven't really got access to the internet to order a box frame, because you don't have to cover it, do you? You could put some perspex on it, but presumably you could keep the box as an open box.
Absolutely, you could, and you could quite easily use a chocolate box and just cut a square out or a heart or whatever shape you fancied, and then put the things at the bottom and the base of the box. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That'd be a really good way of doing it.
Well, I
Yeah.
really love the way those box frames look, but I haven't got any in the house. But what I have got is the bottom half of a really nice, I think it was some kind of, I don't know, Christmas food, but the top was just plastic, but the bottom of the box is so solid that I've been thinking I can't throw it away. I can't throw it away. Let me take that one off and put your next picture up.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and similarly, I mean, this is just on a piece of card. This was for a good friend of ours. So actually, I did enlist Robin's poetry mind to come up with a personalised poem for her, and then I think I might have printed off an outline of a butterfly because that looks a bit too perfect for me to have drawn it. And I basically followed the line of the butterfly with little buttons, lots of different coloured buttons with diamantes in the middle, and just I bejazzled it. Is that the right word? Put all my little diamantes and sequins and just with glue, just simply with glue. And that was the card that we did for our friend's birthday.
That is so clever. So you started it off effectively printing the poem, but
Mm,
also printing the outline. Because I would never,
yeah,
I know it's like all these things, isn't it? It might be obvious when somebody else tells you, but it isn't so
yeah,
obvious. And I think this is, if I take this one off, I think this is the same one in a box.
yeah. And that's again, you've seen one of those box frames. But, like you just said, it could, if you got a nice looking box, you could just put it in the nice looking box. Yeah,
It's very eye-catching, Tracy, isn't it? I love all
yeah,
the different colours and the shininess of it.
yeah.
And I like the way you've used buttons and but presumably as well, I mean again going back to this recycling thing because I think we've talked about recycling, but also I think lots of people finish their art materials some months ago and haven't necessarily got any back. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, can you do? I mean, I'm back to chocolate, aren't I? But it is Valentine's Day coming up. Sort of rolling up little bits of foil and so on.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, particularly, I shouldn't name other chocolates are available, but Quality Street in particular. I've got some lovely wrappers, and Emily and I do actually collect the chocolate wrappers, because they're ideal for that. You can screw it into a little ball. Sometimes they have that double layer. You've got your silver on the inside, and then you see through on the outside. They make great. They'd be absolutely wonderful for that. And for doing any sort of decoupage where you layer it on top of each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I've unaccountably I seem to have a huge number of I think it's sort of silver foil with this red what do you call it cellophane over the top.
Mm.
And I got really
Yeah.
into buying the kind of jars of the sweets, thinking, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste them all over the outside of the jar and put a light in. I might actually have a go at that this
Mm.
weekend. So, what other things do you recommend in terms of make it at home Valentine's celebrations? Is there anything else you've done in the past?
Well, like if you're thinking on the recycling side, as long as you've got even a cereal box, something that's got a hard base, then your kitchen is your palette because you could use all sorts of things from the kitchen, even down to the tops off drinks bottles, Coke, lemonades, things like that, because they're coming, green comes on Sprite and red on a Coke, or you know blue on the milk
I mean,
carton, anything like that, and you can just be creative. I just get everything out, lay it on a table, and think, I like that, and just pick and choose, and just see what comes out of it.
I mean, there's something else that, um, bearing in mind that not everyone has a lot of food, but something that is quite cheap and available, but can be really good for kind of doing that kind of art is pasta shapes.
Yeah,
Just gluing, uncooked pasta.
yeah,
But
uncooked.
there are loads and loads of shapes, from butterflies to shells to tubes and
Mm,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, I was liking the idea about the bottle tops because, well,
mm,
I know it really, really varies, but Newham has a very, very limited recycling contract. So one of the things is you can't put the bottle tops in.
ah,
So
Yeah.
it's yeah, I think it makes more sense. I hadn't thought of collecting those. I save anything I
mm,
think of, but I hadn't thought of collecting the tops. I think it's
yeah,
partly because they're coloured and yeah, the recycling is very, very kind of narrow profit margin. So if they've got to separate all the tops off, that
mm,
apparently kind of destroys it. Sorry, did you want to
yeah,
say something, Julie?
No, I just think it's lovely to hear all these ideas, and I love what you said just then, Tracy, about your kitchen is your palette,
mm,
which I think is wonderful. I've never thought of it like that, but it's a
mm,
lovely way of thinking about it.
Yes,
yeah,
I can see that if you've been living here for the last nearly 12 months, my kitchen perhaps doesn't quite turn itself into a palette the way your kitchen might, but it's certainly got things like plastic bottle tops. And it's the whole recycling bag, isn't it? Take the
mm,
recycling bag and see what else you could do with it.
yeah. I mean, obviously not for on the Zoom project, the projects that you're doing on Zoom at the moment be a bit difficult. But at Girls Brigade, which is an organisation I'm involved in on a weekly basis, and we're doing everything on Zoom. We a couple of years ago made some amazing bookmarks from milk bottles. So we just got the girls to collect milk bottles, and we cut them down, and then hole punched it, put some ribbon in the top. Can't remember exactly what we used. It was a water-based product, and you put it into the water, and then you could dip the plastic in, and they come out, and they're sort of a bit like, not tie-dye, but they've got that swirly shape on. And they loved it, absolutely loved it. And it was such an easy thing to do, but you need to be hands-on, with a group of people to do that. I wouldn't recommend trying to do that over Zoom. Be quite hard.
Well, we had a wonderful interview last year with the photographer Tim Boddy, and he'd had a whole bunch of prints shown on the BBC website because he was using, I don't know if you remember this, Robin, he was using vegetables and fruit juices, and he was using them to sort of coat the paper, and then he would put something like a leaf on it, put it in the sunshine. The fruit juice or whatever would fade. It wouldn't go completely white, but it would fade, and then it would leave a darker shape. But again, it strikes me when you're talking about the kitchen that all sorts of things could be turned into pigment. And I think particularly for things like cards, because you're not making a work of art that you expect to last 100 years, you can afford for it to, yes, deteriorate a little bit in due course.
What you can use is tea bags. You can use tea bags either to dilute and use the tea, cold tea, to paint. You can do a wash on a piece of paper, or use it to less dilute, more concentrated, and pick up shapes and forms, etc. Or you can even paint with a tea bag.
Now, I think that we'd quite like to see your offerings from that next week,
Okay,
Julie.
yeah, that's my challenge. I'll have a go at that.
But it's true, isn't it? I mean, I think we're doing all sorts of things we wouldn't have imagined doing 12 months ago in a world that we couldn't have imagined 12 months ago. But it's also about creativity. You don't need incredibly expensive oil paints. If you can't paint, it's really not going to make any difference if you've got access to them. But I think, start with something simple and just add a bit of color with your tea. What else do you think I think beetroot juice was the kind of thing that Tim really recommended.
Yeah, it's a nice strong color. Orange juice fades. It can leave a little bit of pigment, which is interesting. But I think if you use things like herbs, I've got some spices and herbs which I don't use very often. So I think if you have a dampened piece of paper and just dribble it on, let it dry off, perhaps in a strong light, and then just wipe it and see what happens. I'm thinking particularly of chili and sort of similar cinnamon, perhaps, those sort of ready spices.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of person who buys spices and then they go out of date, and often they haven't actually been used. So I really like the idea again of kind of, rather than sending them to the bin, going, what can we do with this art-wise? Is there some use for it? Because in truth, I never have thought about that. And actually, I can see, if only to have a bit of fun. There's things that you can do with these things. We've become such a throwaway society, and I think COVID has really made us think twice about so many things, hasn't it? Including just the sheer pleasure. Here we are, sort of sitting as international artists, talking, with our eyes lighting up about how great it is to paint with tea bags. Well, why not?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to take Robin seriously with the night vision thing.
Well, I was about
have a paintbrush on your head.
I was about to say that it's about time for a film. So I will take the opportunity to take this off, which is making my neck ache.
Fair enough. You're absolutely right. We'd love to tell you more about how you can join in from home. So effectively, there's two ways. We have our clubs. They're open to any disabled person wherever you are in the world and anyone you want to bring with you. So we have Make and Natter with the Art Club on a Tuesday, Still Life on a Friday. Both of those are on Zoom. We have the Pop Up Poetry Club by telephone, which is particularly good if you don't have great digital access. We pay all of the charges and call you. That's on a Wednesday. And then back to Zoom on the second Monday, we have Photographers and Filmmakers Club. And the fourth Monday, we have Dance for the Screen Club. But we also have lots and lots of activities you can do on our website. And I'm going to pop a short film on now to tell you more about that. But first, we'll say thanks again to Tracy and look forward to seeing
Thank
you next
you.
week.
Yeah, have a good week.
Thank you, Tracy.
Together 2012 is running a Join In From Home programme from our website, together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join In From Home, to go straight to the main page where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. So, for example, we have an arts club which usually operates on a Tuesday with craft-based activities and on a Friday morning for drawing and painting. Here you can join in with the arts club's Hands project and celebrate your uniqueness and membership of the human race. There are full instructions on the linked page here. But essentially, we invite you to draw around your hand on a piece of card. It could be an old cereal packet. Cut the shape out, turn it over, and decorate it with anything you would like to do. It could be paints, crayons, glitter, collage, beads, leaves, anything you can think of. Photograph your hand or hands and send it to us at tv@together2012.org.uk. We'll add it to our video installation and share it on social media. Our music club usually meets on the first Friday of each month. We have an open mic session and we invite everybody to play along with percussion instruments. So here you can learn how to make your own percussion instruments from recycled materials. And you can also join in a percussion workshop from last summer in terms of carnival percussion. So these three instruments are used most often in carnival. We have a shaker and a go-go and a hand drum. So this is how to make a recycled shaker, a recycled go-go, and a recycled hand drum. You can also, if you're technically minded, make your own tactile sound instrument. This does require a few simple electronics, but is a very interesting and exciting project as part of our Vibrafusion ongoing work. You can also listen with Together. We have Spotify playlists created by Robin Surgener, also known as our TV presenter Angry Fish, and we also have two classical music playlists from Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, including one that's uniquely suited to people who are feeling very unwell. Together 2012 is... So welcome, Josh. Do you want to introduce yourselves and give us a bit of audio description?
I can indeed. So, good afternoon, everyone. I am Josh Surgener. I'm a PhD student and Together Unlocked host. My audio description, I have very long blonde hair that is slightly unruly. I've decided I'm going to go for kind of twig Thor. You've got like Thor in the middle. You've got fat Thor from the end one. I'm going to go for like super skinny Thor. That's going to be my new aesthetic that I'm going to aim for. And in terms of my audio description, I'm wearing a grey doddied shirt with long black sleeves. I can't speak. It has a silver O2 and then a English rose. Do you want me to do my dressing up as well?
Yeah, I think just turn the mic up very slightly, Robin.
So hopefully you can hear me a little bit clearer. So my dressing up for this weekend, I'm wearing an England rugby shirt. England are playing Italy at Twickenham tomorrow. This is something that I try and get to every other year because it alternates between Twickenham and Rome, and the M1 doesn't reach Rome. So well, the M25 doesn't reach Rome. So I managed to get to Twickenham. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get myself a hog roast, pork, stuffing, and applesauce baguette before the game and after the game because it's a long drive, and enjoy myself watching some rugby.
And presumably, when you're watching it in front of the telly, Robin is not going to be doing the hog roast for you.
You're absolutely right. Just don't even.
So I just wanted to go back to the video we've just seen for a moment. Two quick things. One is the Tactile Sound Device website is currently offline, but I'm assured by our Canadian partners who are hosting it, it will be back by the end of next week. So do check that out when it's back. And Julie, you have just produced 2 new Spotify playlists to celebrate LGBT plus History Month, which I'm going to put the links into highlights and links and officially launch them for 5 o'clock. So tell us quickly what they are.
Yes, they're sort of old time. As it's History Month, I thought that was a bit appropriate, just remembering the past. There's one is the old time lesbian songs, the old tunes that we used to have at the disco, Dimples Disco, down in Brighton. And they're sort of a bit of a mix. Some you can dance to, some you can't. The other one is an old time gay club sort of list, which again, it's got things like YMCA on it, and it's got George Michael, and and I Will Survive. Those sort of, some of them are anthems, some of them aren't. But if you used to go down to the clubs back in the old days, pre-2000, you would probably find something on that list being played quite loudly with lots of gyrating, happy little figures.
Yes, or in my experience of lesbian clubs, probably 10 years after everybody else had stopped playing it, I remember the DJ Fish and I used to stand there in the 90s going, do you think techno will ever reach the lesbians? And me saying, not this century. We've lost our co-hosts momentarily. But rather than taking advantage of that, we will move on to the next item we were due to show you anyway. So on a Friday, as regulars will know, we give you something for the weekend, our recommendations for things to do, usually for free, from home, online or offline. So let me just bring our co-hosts back in. Da-da. So we were just talking about something for the weekend. Julie, you've missed all of the news about Julie's wonderful playlists, but that will be up on highlights and links by 5 o'clock as usual. Now we are going to move over to our first recommendation, which comes from one of our regular presenters, Stara Plurger. Stara and Hannah Facey live together currently up in Norfolk where they're shielding. And they recommend, if you have snow and ice outside, making a miniature ice rink. So this is their film, very short, about how they made their mini ice rink out in the back garden.
Oh, hi, I'm Stara, and here's Merlo, the dog, and I was sad because I couldn't skate. So I made a skating rink with so I can ice skate with Hannah. It's good. Bye.
And I'm told that Stera is by far the best skater in Newham. So go for it, Stera. For anybody who couldn't see that, what they did is they just kind of created a small area by putting some planks of wood down and some plastic underneath, poured a bucket of water down and waited for it to freeze. Have you ever tried that, Robin?
Funnily enough, me and ice skating have never been best buddies. However, I have been ice skating with Patton at our local ice skating rink and taken my chair on the ice, and it is so much fun. And where I grew up, we had lakes that you could fall through regularly, so they were always fun.
Yeah, I used to love sledging. Well, Stera's Dutch, and apparently everybody in Holland skates. And you may have been able to tell from Stera's skates that they're adapted skates. And apparently in Holland, you can get skates for just about everybody. So who knows? I bet they've even got skates for wheelchairs, which we would certainly enjoy. But thank you for that, Stera. So who's got something else they would like to recommend for the weekend?
Do you want to go?
I can go first. I had a couple of things. One, I think you've already talked quite a lot about kind of Lunar New Year and Chinese New Year. But I saw online that tomorrow afternoon there's a kind of online celebration that's being hosted in part by the Smithsonian American Art Museum. And that's at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. It's a Eventbrite kind of free event. There's video performances and demonstrations of kind of traditional crafts and things like that. And then also within the link, or within that kind of advert or description of the event, there was a link to the Smithsonian American Art Museum Family Zone, which has got a whole heap of resources on it, but it links specifically to the ones for the new year. So there's some craft activities. There's how to make a prosperity lamp and how to make an ox, both out of just kind of paper and things, stuff you've got lying around. There's a whole heap of like downloadable PDF coloring pages that you can then print out at home, and some videos. So I started looking at the ones that were specific, but I would imagine there will be similar sorts of things for a whole host of other events and topics and things as well if you kind of explore around the website. But there's links to both the Eventbrite page and then a direct link to the New Year resources, like online Family Zone.
Brilliant. And we'll have those links in under highlights and links. Robin, do you want to offer us something next?
Yeah, I mean, again, you kind of covered one of mine, which was simply about making a Valentine's card. And what I've suggested on the link is that it doesn't have to be to the love of your life. Actually, just making a card with love for somebody you want to put a smile on their face is always a lovely idea.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because one of the things I was hoping, if Julie had done her homework, is that Valentine's Day didn't used to be just about lovers. Certainly earlier in the 20th century, people would just send cards to all their friends and cards to their relatives. I think it's gone too far the other way in that I have previously had printed cards from the cat or the dog.
Fair enough.
Don't go out and buy
Yeah.
cards for the cats or the dogs. Although it's possible this year I might make one. Who's to say? Like I say, these are extraordinary times. But yeah, absolutely. You know, telling somebody you love them doesn't have to be about romantic
No.
love, does it?
And then my other recommendation, and it's something I think you just, if it excites you, is only something you would start this weekend. But I came across a project called Window Wonderful. Window Wonderful. So it's like the word wonderful, but spelt with an A. So it's wander, as in walking around. And it's a project that started in 2015 for communities to put pictures in their front windows, whether it's downstairs, upstairs, but basically public facing windows, and to create galleries so that as you walk around, you're getting you're, rather than just seeing into people's houses or their curtains. And then it kind of focuses quite a lot on, if you have the capacity to do it in a way that when it gets dark, if you put a light on in that room, you get that kind of much greater silhouette or outliney effect. And I just thought, and so Coventry City of Culture are promoting their own one within some of the neighborhoods of Coventry. But I was just thinking, what a really lovely idea. I mean, even us who live in a cul-de-sac, actually, and we've got Georgian barred windows, so there's a lot of pictures to potentially do. But just think it's a really, really nice idea, and you can do it with anything. You know,
Yes, and it links in nicely because one of the things I was just going to flag up is the Great British Art Exhibition, which is similar but simpler. And I think we announced that 2 weeks ago. Anthony Gormley and some other British artists were launching it. And the idea is you do a picture on a theme that the artists choose and just put that up in your window. And then every fortnight there's a new theme, and you might want to just keep adding pictures, and then you become part of this project, or you might just have something you want to replace. But the first theme was animals, the new theme is birds. And if you've got any pictures of animals or birds, we'd love to see them. Do send them in. We are on info@together2012.org.uk, and I'm just going to put that up on the bottom of the screen. Julie, what did you want to recommend?
Just two things. One very quickly is that Channel 4 is airing for free through All 4, their online service, the second of the Test cricket, India against England from India. So it starts at about 3:00 in the morning, finishes at 12 noon. The English team won the first test, so it should be interesting. I do like cricket, I must confess, although I can't see me watching it at 3:00 in the morning. But if it's streamed, then you can drop in and out of it. The second thing, very quickly, is that the Arts Council are sponsoring an LGBT History Month exhibition from Derby, from the Derby Museum. And there's lots of stuff there. I've been so impressed. The museum clearly has linked up with the local LGBT groups, history groups, and others. And they're showing some pictures, they're looking at Shakespeare, they're looking at some articles from the ladies of Llangollen, and their poetry. So I think it's going to be wonderful.
Yes, I mean, I wanted to flag up again, although it's cheating in some ways, the LGBT plus History Month site has a great calendar of events, and I was going through them today and couldn't even begin to pick out which ones I would recommend. Almost everything is free and almost everything is online, so it's a great opportunity to be able to go around the country. In fact, in the next couple of weeks I'm virtually going around the country to give talks to various different groups, and again, I couldn't possibly have gone to give those talks in real life, so it's a real one-off opportunity for me to be able to go, okay, today I can go and give a talk in Shrewsbury, and tomorrow I can go and give a talk in Norwich, I think it is, and so on and so forth. And in that same way, there'll never be a better opportunity to attend and try all of these different activities. The calendar is really clear. They've redesigned the website, and I think they've done a very, very good job. I actually found it, apart from a few little bits where I think the grey is too pale, which I know is often a template issue and not a design issue. Yeah, I think it's really straightforward. So even if you don't have much time, check it out, because it's very straightforward to find out what is on and what you want to see. Josh, did you have anything else for us?
I had a sport one, but at a slightly easier to watch time, which was much like my dressing up to go out theme, the England Italy game tomorrow afternoon. That's on ITV. If you're not interested in England or Italy, there are 2 other games. I think Wales play. Yeah, it's Ireland, France, Wales, Scotland, England, Italy. I can't remember what the other 2 games are. But yeah, there's 2 on ITV on Saturday, and there'll be 1 on BBC on Sunday. I believe it's normally how it runs. But the England match, because that's the one that I'm going to be watching, it kicks off at 2:15, and the coverage starts at 1:30 on ITV. So if you've got nothing else to do, you can watch a bit of rugby.
And also, I mean, I think you've just forgotten to mention it because you talked about it earlier, is the Manchester International.
Oh yeah, there's also there's a swimming competition actually going on in England at the moment. There's the Manchester International meet that includes able-bodied swimmers and para swimmers. It's being done, I think, as safe as possible. It's kind of the bare bones crew that you can have to run a meet, but it's full kind of you've got the top Olympic and Paralympic kind of swimmers. You've got to be at that level to even be allowed anywhere near it.
So is that on the BBC?
No, it's live streamed on British Swimming's YouTube page. So heats are 9:30 in the morning, and then finals are 5:30 in the evening today, tomorrow, and Sunday.
And you'll give us that link. I'm amazed. You would have thought, considering how well, I suppose they're going to go for the rugby, but even so, I think there's at least as many of us as prefer swimming to rugby or cricket. Although in Newham, I think I'm very much outnumbered by the cricket fans. So we're coming slowly towards the end of another show. And as always on a Friday, we're going to finish up with some live music, but not as always. And I'm giving you time to prepare, dear viewers, so you can go and check out the link for yourself. We're going to attempt, and I say attempt for very good reasons, to sign along with Robin playing a song called Together. And we're doing that because we're supporting Sign to Sing Week, which is this week. And Sign to Sing Week is a fundraiser for a really fantastic organisation called Sign Health. Sign Health provides all of the information to sign language users that really the NHS should be providing anyway under the Accessible Information Standard, but still doesn't. So it's a really critical service, particularly in times of COVID. So when we come on to that, if you look on our highlights and links page now, from Wednesday, the tutorial and the signs are all linked in there. So in a few minutes' time, that's how we're going to end the show. Josh has decided that his impairment rules him out completely. Fair enough. We have unfortunately realised that we don't have the hands to sign properly, or the spines or the shoulders. So we'll be joining in with a few very feeble signs and making large personal donations to Sign Health. But what I would say is it's a great website, because usually what happens is Sign to Sing do this kind of delivering it in schools. So they do one song every year and they make the videos and everything else. This year, because it's online, they've opened up the previous years. So there's a whole library of songs with all of the tutorials to choose from. We couldn't choose anything when there was a song called Together. We had to choose the song called Together. But if you've got a school, a community group, any other kind of group, or you've just thought, oh, I'd love to do sign songs. It looks really, really fantastic. All of the tools are there, for you to learn a whole number. You could even set up your own sign song choir just with the resources that are on this website. So we will see it as a beginning. But unfortunately, like I say, we've got conditions that means we're never going to be good signers. However, all of you who could be, it's just a really fantastic resource. And there's just something really great about engaging your whole body when you sing. So Robin has learned the song, but before that, we will just. Oh, Robin is going to try and play the song. We know we're only going to be able to do some of the signs, but perhaps at home you will do much, much better, in which case we would love to see your videos. We'll be back on Monday at 3:00. Coming up then, we have photography, filmmaking, we have update, we have Relax with Awa, we have chat, we have more about LGBT plus History Month, and much, much more. How long is this song, Robin?
Probably about 3.5 minutes, maybe. It's definitely going to be slower than it is if you watch it on the website.
Yes, and the signing is going to bear no relationship whatsoever. So you won't be able to follow us. And all we can do is go, sorry, Gov, I'm disabled. I'm going to make my donation to Sign Health now. But on that happy note, we will let Robin prepare. Julie, do you want to say goodbye first as the chair?
Goodbye first.
It's going to be one of those weekends, isn't it? We jet off to Gwangju for our Valentine's Day meal. So it's goodbye from me. Have a great weekend. Stay home, stay creative, and stay well. I'll look forward to seeing you on Monday. And I think Josh is probably going to say goodbye and go. So Robin's got a bit more space.
I will indeed. So enjoy your weekend, everybody, and we'll see you on Monday.
Okay, I will just try and give myself a little bit of space here. I will also apologise in advance, in as much as this song is, whilst I don't pretend to be the world's greatest singer, this is definitely not in my key, and that's my excuse now. This is called Together from Sign to Sing, and the lyrics and music are listed under the writer Bottle Top. Imagine there's no light. Would you be my guide, or just let me stray? Would you hold your hand? Would you understand, or turn me away? We are one in the same, so every day put your hands up, hold your head high. We are better off together if we only try. Lift your voice, let's make some noise. We are better off together if we only try. Come and stand by my side. How does it feel? What do you see? With your arms open wide, where could you go? Who could you be? We are one in the same. So every day, put your hands up, hold your head high. We are better off together if we only try. Lift your voice, let's make some noise. We are better off together, we are better off together. Put your hands up, hold your heads high. We are better off together if we only try. Lift your voice, let's make some noise. We are better off together, we only try. Put your hands up, hold your head high. We are better off together if we only try. Lift your hands, voice, let's make some noise. We are better off together if we only try. Apologies, but I hope you enjoyed it still. Have a great weekend. Bye.